Apostate, apostle. It's kind of like a palindrome. Hello YouTube. This is a video response to the Dutch philosopher's video, The Futility of Godlessness. I agree that if there is no objective meaning, there is no objective meaning. This idea is sound and logical. What I do not agree with is that relative meaning can be easily dismissed. Within the video, relative meaning is identified as a delusion. It is claimed that with no ultimate meaning, all events are the same as no events, that the sum total of everything amounts to a wash, and there's no reason to even bother unless there's some objective reason we should bother. One's destiny is not related to one's behavior, and sacrifice for another is stupid. To say the least, I disagree with these ideas, but before we go too much further, I want to discuss what the word objective means. When I say objective, I mean something which is true, regardless of how it is apprehended by the mind. As I see it, there are two kinds of objective thing: the empirical, which exists outside of and independent of the mind, and the logical, where things are necessarily true through the logic of their definition. These are best summed up by physics and mathematics. Someone might argue or perceive physics differently, but they will still suffer the effects of gravity, momentum, and thermodynamics. These effects will be suffered in predictable and measurable ways. Someone may argue that a triangle has 4 sides, but this can only be done by changing the definition of the word triangle. If you want to identify something as objective, you need to look for either a law which governs its behavior, absolutely, or a unit of measurement which indicates the properties of something with perfect consistency. The pain scale at your local doctor's office is not such a unit of measurement. You might have a pain of 10 for something I might feel as a pain of 6 or 7. All you can use is your own previous experience of pain as a reference. Back to the video. The claims were made that without God, there is no objective standard for the right and wrong. I agree with this. Without God or some other objective morality giver, there is no standard for right and wrong which is objective. How we ought to behave is not objective. The video proposes that if something is not objective, it is not real, or perhaps not objectively real, or real in what the author describes as a meaningful sense. But the author recognizes that certain moral values are important and widely held. However, we can quickly show, with the total lack of absolute rules and the complete absence of consistent measurement, there is no objective standard for right and wrong. Many thinkers have tried to show that there is an objective morality by showing something which is widely held to be despicable. Killing people for pure pleasure is one example often used. However, a quick look at human history shows us that people used to kill for pleasure quite often. In fact, the notion that human life has some sort of inherent value is a relatively recent one in human history. These common, strongly held values are better explained through socialization in an increasingly global community, or through evolution. If you want to know more about evolution, please look up Aaron Ra. The video then speaks about what is the reason for life, if there is no objective reason for life. It claims that it is inconsistent to say life is objectively absurd and that one may create meaning in one's own life. So if you can't have everything, meaning an objective reason to live, you don't want anything. And yet the suicide rate among atheists is not such that this seems to be believable. And this is the resounding dismissal of relative value that I spoke of in my comments to you. Reason is a thing of the mind, and it is not objective. The only objective constructs of the mind available to us have to be rigidly defined, such as mathematics, or directional references. The video speaks of a desire for authenticity, and I too strongly seek authenticity. The video offers a philosopher that shows that pure hedonism is unfulfilling. While I don't believe that's a universal tenet, it is one that I agree strongly with. The philosopher's second stage indicates a person who has become aware of moral duties or moral values and is seeking an objective rationale for them. A question as old as, what is the good? However, it also shows an indication of the cognitive dissonance suffered when you attempt to define good and bad through objective means. It shows a recognition that to find such objectivity is beyond the human condition. The philosopher's answer is to abandon the quest and declare it solved through the tenets of Christianity, effectively arguing that God exists because the universe without him is unthinkably horrible. If there were objective tenets of Christianity, or even an objective book which is immutable and eternal, I would agree, problem solved. However, reality informs our perceptions, not the other way around. We have no objective religion. What we do have is millions of facets of belief, millions of interpretations, hundreds of translations, and the huge problem that the book is significantly younger than human civilization. In short, Christianity lives in the mind without external objective standards. The wide variance in its practice and the completely different interpretations of its followers stand as testament to this fact. Don't feel bad. Every other major religion in the world falls victim to the same problem. This doesn't alleviate the cognitive dissonance of the philosopher trying to find an objective good or bad. The dissonance is from the realization that good and bad are not objective. So I propose the other answer to this age-old dilemma, that of Plato, Augustine, or more recently Bertrand Russell and many other philosophers. I hold that since objective meaning and objective goodness are denied to us, we realize that we do not live objectively, that it is liberating to abandon the need for certainty, to embrace that meaning, like art appreciation, comes from the mind, and that while it may not be objective meaning, it is real meaning. It exists as surely as the joy I feel discussing these ideas. I know that someday Earth will be gone, and that though the universe might not end, the odds of actions taken by me noticeably affecting generations even 2,000 years in the future is slight. I know that the humanity of 10,000 years in the future may be something so alien we would not see ourselves in them. I possess the understanding that all of human history is an afterthought on the scale of even the immediate universe. Our solar arm of this one tiny galaxy could not possibly notice us. And I recognize that my perspective is not a universal one. I don't need to heed the Andromeda Galaxy or distant quasars. Life on other planets is interesting, but ultimately immaterial to me. My life is here on Earth. It is immediate, and I can see that my actions make changes in the world I do live in, and that those changes can make things better or worse. I am not an atheist. When I die, if I find that there is an afterlife, how exciting it will be to have something more to experience and something new to do. I sincerely hope there is one, and I feel like some part of me exists beyond this mortal shell. However, this life is the only one I am convinced of, the only one that I can say with some certainty is actually occurring. That makes each moment of this life precious beyond measure, not worthless in the extreme. The question is, should we live for the destination or for the journey? Augustine said that though a journey may never be achieved, a life lived in pursuit of a noble goal with productive movement towards that goal can be a happy life. In the Republic, Plato shows us that it is better to be good than bad. The book is also a cornerstone of Western civilization, one which proves that any of us can have a lasting effect on all of us. I don't need things to last forever to find value in them. The sunset is gone. It was beautiful, and that should be enough.